And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my team.
Was Angel Reese's statement that she doesn't mind playing the bad guy in her feud with Caitlin Clark accurate? A player who is already prepared to accept being the object of hatred. You don't hear that very often, particularly in women's basketball, where attention has only lately been this intense. As you can see, rivalries are what give sports their explosive nature. Bird had magic. Fraser was all ease. There must be two sides tugging at each other throughout every amazing moment. Additionally, Clark and Reese are currently players in women's basketball. The league may advertise everywhere by portraying one as the star, saying, "Okay, if it's necessary to keep the game growing, I'll take the villain role." The other person stepped into the flames.
So many people are watching women's basketball right now. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game.
All of this began with the 2023 NCAA Championship, Iowa versus LSU. At the time, it was the biggest women's collegiate basketball game ever. Millions of people watched. And in the closing seconds, Angel Reese approached Caitlin Clark directly and made the "you can't see me" motion. While the cameras were rolling, she pointed to her ring finger repeatedly.
And the moment happened in the NCAA championship game where LSU won and Angel put the ring up in Caitlin's face. That was a moment in sports history that has really actually changed the course of women's sports history.
That video went viral right away. Social media took off. Was it just trash talk, or did it go too far in the direction of disrespect?
Going to cross over. What happened in that moment was the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird moment.
This is how it quickly became a national discussion. However, now that I think about it, Clark didn't add fuel to the fire. Rather, she calmed it down. She publicly defended Reese. She claimed that the taunt was only a part of the competition and that she didn't mind it. In the eyes of millions, Clark appeared larger, calmer, and more mature after giving that response. The contrast was established at that point. Reese leaned into the drama rather than avoiding it. Clark remained above it and didn't feed it. And with that, the story began. The serene star versus the brazen villain. The rivalry abruptly took on a new dimension when the 2024 WNBA draft arrived. Clark was selected by the Indiana Fever with the first overall pick. Reese joined the Chicago Sky at number 7. And everyone understood what that meant. These two will cross paths several times over the year, but in more illuminated settings this time. All because fans were curious about what would happen if Clark and Reese took the floor together one more. However, Caitlin Clark was the focus of attention at that point. Before she ever put on her clothes, her performances sold out arenas. Celebrities began attending WNBA games. Ratings soared. Additionally, every Indiana versus Chicago game became a must-watch on television. In actuality, this competition wouldn't have the same significance if Clark weren't the sensation that she is. Only because of the person on the other side of her does Reese's villain part work. However, Chennedy Carter delivered a forceful body check that sent Caitlin Clark to the ground during this matchup between the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever. What did Angel Reese do that caught your attention? She was observed applauding Carter's move and clapping. It was captured on camera from all sides. Then Reese skipped out and was punished for it rather than speaking to the media afterwards. What was notable was Clark's silence. She simply continued playing without retaliation or making fun of him. Conversely, Reese appeared to be further embracing the character of the bad guy. Reese didn't back down when she eventually spoke about it. "I'll play the bad guy," she told reporters bluntly. The criticism wasn't something she was avoiding. It belonged to her.
To be that, and I know I'll go down in history. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time, and luckily, it's...
I'll look back in 20 years and say, the reason we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person.
She added, doubling down, "It's also because of me." She was expressing that she is aware that her presence, even as a villain, heightens the game. That's a bold statement, I must say. Reese considers herself to be more than a mere athlete. According to her, she serves as a counterpoint to Caitlin Clark's focus. Every great narrative, in her opinion, requires two sides. And if it means that more people are watching the sport, she's okay with being the one who gets jeered. But here's the thing. Clark didn't request this. She never invited the drama or begged for a rivalry, yet it always finds her. And she manages it calmly each time it occurs. That explains why the contrast is so stark. Furthermore, Reese's adoption of the villain role really damages Clark's reputation. It presents Clark as the epitome of professionalism, the person you can promote anywhere and who maintains composure under pressure. And for that very reason, the rivalry continues to grow. Reese is referring to more than just herself when she says she will tolerate the hostility. She's also indirectly referring to Clark, because there must always be a hero on the opposing side of every villain, and there wouldn't be a narrative to tell without Clark. Did you also note how much of this competition takes place online? Social media thrives on putting women against one another, as Angel Reese herself has stated. Furthermore, she doesn't mind being the target of jeers. She believes it's worthwhile if it keeps women's basketball in the news. That is the aspect of this story that is unique, you see. Reese does not take offense at the comments. She confronts it. She is aware that every highlight, joke, and post that portrays her as the villain nevertheless draws attention to the game. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark adopts the opposite stance. Online, she doesn't clap back. She doesn't focus on the narrative. She merely plays. And it gets easier for fans to cast her in the role of the hero without her even asking for it, the more she remains silent. And the dynamic is created by that. People naturally start to protect Clark as Reese turns into the person they love to despise. Would this rivalry even work if Clark wasn't the ideal counterpoint? Most likely not. What makes it work is the contrast. Actually, a nice illustration would be the May 2024 game. Reese fell to the ground as Clark stretched over her head and made contact. Was it deliberate? While some replied no, some replied yes. In any case, the video went viral, and the media portrayed it as a new chapter in the rivalry rather than simply dismissing it as a basketball play. You know what? Clark didn't even bat an eye. Don't be theatrical. Don't respond. As if nothing had happened, she simply returned to the game. That demeanor only served to reinforce her reputation as calm and collected. On the other hand, Reese capitalized on that exact opportunity to advance her storyline. She accepted that it enhanced her villain persona, regardless of whether fans liked it or not, and she doesn't mind, because in her opinion, each plot point enhances the game. Now let's talk about how this is framed by the media.
I've also given this comparison to the Magic Johnson, and he has agreed with me. Not that I would move off of it if he didn't, but just for the record, for everyone out there who thinks that I'm crazy, literally Magic Johnson agrees. But
Joy Taylor likened Magic versus Bird to Reese versus Clark. It fits, to be honest. The concept goes beyond talent to include how perception, race, and personalities influence the story. You see, Reese is frequently portrayed as more of a villain than Clark. She is divisive due to her trash language, flair, and confidence. It's hated by some and loved by others. For Clark, however, things are different. She is almost automatically chosen to play the clean-cut hero. That's the problem. This hero-villain dynamic is advantageous to Clark. She doesn't present herself in any way. It's she gets it done by Reese. Clark gets to act as the counterbalance every time Reese declares she will play the bad guy. But here's the thing. Joy Taylor's analogy between Magic and Bird wasn't made at random.
know some sports history. The NBA was failing. It was a failing product. Don't think about what it is now, $300 million contracts. It wasn't that. It was a failing product. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came into the NBA. The Magic switchover happens. Magic winds up with the Lakers and Dr. Buss. Larry goes on his way. They have their battles. the Celtics, the Lakers, they saved the league, right? It wasn't just because two great players came into the league and then were great. It's because they had a narrative. It's because Magic was perfect for the Lakers and what Dr. Buss was building. And they were able to create this marketable product that people cared about and were attached to.
The NBA was having a hard time in the late 1970s. There were few people present. No one was paying attention. However, the entire league changed when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson faced off. Basketball fans were no longer only watching the game, they were observing a plot. Every game felt larger than the sport itself because they were witnessing two celebrities represent disparate origins and styles. Anyway, that seems familiar, doesn't it? Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are currently providing women's basketball with their own take on that. Their games are about a rivalry that new fans can relate to, not simply about defense and scoring.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have that polarization to them naturally. And that moment with Angel Reese pushed Caitlin Clark into this other space where she was a crossover figure outside of sports.
For sure.
Take a look at the figures. Millions of people are watching. The arenas are completely booked. Courtside, celebrities are seated. And you can sure that one of the main causes of that is this rivalry.
Only the case because she is a outspoken, powerful Black woman. Period. Full stop.
Actually, Angel Reese almost intentionally plays into this character. Outspoken, unrepentant, and audacious. She makes no effort to weaken herself. She confronts opponents. She is fashionable. She exudes confidence. She is hence easily characterized as the villain. For that, some people applaud her. For the same reasons, others undermine her. But the secret is this. It doesn't bother Reese. She has stated unequivocally that she understands rivalries are what motivates sports. She is aware that people notice her audacity. She isn't escaping it. Thus, the issue arises. When both of them display the same fire, why do we applaud one and jeer at the other? Perception, perhaps. Perhaps it's for comfort. In any case, it maintains the game's prominence. Reese's thoughts extend beyond the present. She wishes to be known for having contributed to the explosion of women's basketball. It's not just because of one person, she added. She's correct in saying that a variety of names are advancing the sport. Let's be honest, though. Caitlin Clark remains at the center of the plot. Reese wouldn't have had the same enormous platform to portray the antagonist if Clark hadn't been a household name. Only because Clark is present as the other half does the rivalry work. Fans also pay attention. They view Clark as the cool-headed celebrity who just lets her game speak for itself. And for that reason, she is the one that everyone supports. In this rivalry, she emerges as the hero and the safe pick. The attention is good for Reese. The appreciation helps Clark. Additionally, both gain from the fact that they are constantly being discussed. Reese knows in her heart that Clark is even more admired when she puts up with being cheered. She's okay with that, since she is contributing to something greater than herself. Thus, Reese proudly portrays the rival who made the trip unforgettable, while Clark becomes the face of the new WNBA era. Who actually benefits when Angel Reese claims she doesn't mind playing the antagonist? I mean, Caitlin Clark seems to be the obvious answer. Caitlin gets to shine more as the good guy each time Reese adopts the villain persona. And this rivalry, like all the great ones in sports history, makes the match one to remember. Bird had Magic. The Pistons were owned by Jordan. Now Clark has Reese. The only distinction is Clark doesn't need to strive for the hero position. It finds her. And additionally, she always wins when it does. For more, subscribe. Thank you for viewing.